Good evening. The Rio Rancho Public Schools Board of Education meeting for Monday, September 16th, 2024 is now called to order. If all would please arise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Jessica Tyler will start us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, JC, can you take a roll call for us?
President Galbraith,
Present?
Vice President Morgan, Secretary Tyler, Board Member Tripp,
Present.
Board Member Miller.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We'd like to excuse Jeffrey Morgan. Jeffrey Morgan, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me?
You are. Okay, perfect. All right, we'd like to welcome everyone out tonight. We have some really sweet and special visitors here with us, and so we welcome you to our meeting tonight. It's always sweet when we have the Pledge of Allegiance and we get to hear our elementary school voices out. That's a sweet thing. So we'll go ahead and start with our introductory comments by our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Visu Cleveland.
Good evening, and again, thank you so much for being with us this evening. I want to start by just saying a few words about the 50th birthday for Rio Rancho Elementary. And as many of you know, it was built as the very first public school building in Rio Rancho. And of course, at the time, there was no Rio Rancho School District. There was also no city of Rio Rancho at that time. But everyone who lived in Corrales Heights went to Rio Rancho Elementary. And it is just absolutely amazing how many people in this community have ties back to that school. Either they attended it or they had a family member who did. And so they celebrated the 50th birthday. Prior to that, our students that were in Corrales Heights, the beginning of Rio Rancho, attended Sandoval Elementary, and Sandoval Elementary eventually became Corrales Elementary. And they were bringing in portables as Rio Rancho started to grow. And when they ran out of every inch of space around the little Corrales school, they had to decide what to do. And a decision was made to bring some portables up and put them at the site where Rio Rancho Elementary is located today. And so that was the beginning, all portables. We've had a long history of portables in the early years of this school district. And then that community went to work to get a school built there. And there was a powerful PTA group. They were pretty amazing. Some of them I think are names some of you know. It was Carla Walker, who became the first president of our school board. Barbara Harris, who was the vice president. There were people in the community like Glenda Mowry, who owned Rio Rancho Printing, Bobby Drosky, Marlene Foyer went on to be a city councilor, and all those women were in that PTA. And they worked really hard to get that first school building built. And so it's a really important building in our community. And we had a marvelous turnout. A lot of people came, a lot of former teachers, a lot of former students. And it was just a very, very nice event. And we had the mayor there. We had some of the county commission there. A lot of people from the business community. The people who worked to put that together were Sarah Farner, who is our principal currently at Rio Rancho, and then former principal Barbara Bruce, and Michelle LaRossi, who works in this building, but Michelle was a student there. And she talked about her experiences as a student at Rio Rancho Elementary. So it was a fun day, and it was nice to celebrate that really important beginning of public education in the city of Rio Rancho. And there's just a few quick pictures. But we did have an incredible crowd, and just a lot of people, some teachers who were there in the very earliest days were there, and it was just nice to be able to see a lot of those folks again. Okay, we have a special report this evening that is entitled Digital Defenders. And it's a wonderful after-school program. And I'm going to ask Terry Myers, if our director of educational technology, to come forward and tell you a little bit about it. And I think we have some of our students here from some of the schools. So we welcome all of our students. And Terry, if you'll come out and kind of tell us about this really interesting program.
Do you want to do this now or do you want to wait until the...
Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I got so carried away. All right, yeah, let's wait until we get to that point. Sorry. All right. And then we have donations this evening, and we have representatives from St. Paul's United Church of Christ, and they are here to ask the board to accept a donation for the following schools: Colinas del Norte, Puesta del Sol, and Rio Rancho. And I cannot say enough about the generosity of our larger community in providing assistance and support for our schools, students, and families. And we'll be introducing those folks and giving them a chance to speak as well. So again, welcome, and we do thank you for your very kind and generous heart. Then we also have, and again, all donations and board policy have to be accepted by the board. And Gary Tripp is the one that brought us information about this potential donation. So he will be introducing the guests that are here. And Taylor Swearingen, and if I got your name wrong, my apologies, pastor of St. Paul's United Church of Christ, and Barbara McKinney, also from the same St. Paul's United, and from their community outreach group. And then we have two important issues related to our school bonds. General Obligation Bonds Series 2024. We'll be looking at the paying agent and the registrar agreement related to that bond sale. We are in the process of a bond sale for $20 million, and there are two items on the agenda, and you will be asked to approve the bond preliminary official statement. And Kaylee Weimerskirch, and if I didn't get your name right, my apologies, with RBC Capital Markets will be here to speak to that. And then you will also be asked to consider approval of the bond paying agent. Rio Rancho Public Schools General Counsel David Mann will be the one to present those items this evening. And then we have a bus transfer request, and the board is being asked to consider approval of the transfer of 3 school buses to Rio Rancho Public Schools from APS. And this is really good news, so we need a few more than that, but we were short wheelchair buses, and Brooke will explain kind of how that all transpired, but we are very appreciative of his efforts and of APS. It takes a long time, if a bus is approved, to get it, now over a year. And so we needed help immediately, and this was a way to fill the gap. These are wheelchair buses, and they're even more difficult to come by than traditional regular yellow school buses. So this is being generated by an increase in the number of IEPs for children with disabilities, and so it's really hard because with wheelchair buses, children are completely dependent upon having that lift and having the appropriate equipment for that child. And again, we thank APS for their help with this. And then we have, as we do every year, our preventative maintenance plan. And Patrick Martinez, our Executive Director of Facilities, will be presenting the 2024-2025 preventative maintenance plan for the board's approval. This plan is related to the work of Rio Rancho Public Schools maintenance, grounds, and custodial teams. And the plan includes things such as the mission, the goals and objectives, the organization and staffing, and the maintenance procedures for that department. And then we also have the RADA Assessment Management and Data Warehouse System. This will be award of RFP 2024-25 RADA. And Michael Madrid, our Director of Purchasing and our Chief Procurement Officer, will present this information and will request the board to consider approval for this solicitation. This system will support the work of the Research, Assessment, Data, and Accountability Department for our district, and is something that has been very much needed. So this is really an important acquisition for us. And basically, the scope of work, and I'm sure I'll go into more detail, but if you have questions, the system provides a tool for both online and paper-based testing, as well as some other functions. It will automatically score selected response items. It will generate several reports that help teachers determine how well students are performing on individual items and standards. And the data warehouse will provide a tool for combining information from a variety of different assessment sources to drive instructional improvements by our staff. One of the challenges that we have in assessment is there's information over here and there's information over here and over here. It doesn't always talk to each other. And so this is going to greatly facilitate that communication and make it easier for staff to access and to use that information. And Dr. Miller can also provide more information if you would like it. And then any comments, questions, and concerns?
Any questions from anyone? Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll now go to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'll make a motion to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time.
It's Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jessica Tyler and a second by Jeff Morgan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, we'll now go to our public comment. So we didn't receive any in-person public comment for tonight, but we do have 3. Is that right, JC? There no more came in that I missed. Okay, so we have 3 that came in our public comment form, and I'll just go ahead and summarize those right now. So we received from Natalie Chavez and also Tim Noakes a support for the Good News Clubs and Bibles in every public school library. And then our 3rd was from Alec Reinhardt asking about stipends for special education and hard to find positions, and that other districts have announced that and wondering when Rio Rancho may do that. So those are our 3 public comments that we received tonight. If anyone's interested in giving public comment, you can either come into the boardroom or you can go to our public comment form, which can be found on our board page. And we'll now go to reports. So for our first report, and our only report for the night, is our Rio Rancho Public Schools Digital Defenders 2023-2024. Terry Meyer, our Director of Education Technology, will present.
This is right for Rio.
We like to keep it spicy.
Keep me on my toes, make sure I can get up and down, right? President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board, thank you so much for inviting us. I have some very important people that are going to talk about the Digital Defenders After School program. We received from Google Kids Initiative and the NMCT Technology Grant. I applied for a grant. We got $78,000 for 2 years. And what we're doing is we're teaching kids how to be safe online through an after-school program. We have 11 after-school programs, 1 at every elementary school. This year, we're adding on some lunch digital defenders at the middle school. So all 4 middle schools will have a digital defenders at the middle school. And then the high school, I haven't quite got there yet, but I'm trying still. So I'm going to reach out to them, see what we can do with them. But basically, we've been running it since January of 2024 till now. Digital Citizenship Week is coming up October 16th through the 22nd. During that week, all the schools do announcements and talking about how to be safe online and how to keep yourself safe, how to PII information, how we don't share that online, and cyberbullying and those type of things. We do announcements, we do activities, and teachers teach lessons in the classroom. So it's pretty cool. And then we have trained 11 digital citizenship school ambassadors, and that's online training, 8 hours of online training on how to teach kids how to be safe online. So we have 11 teachers so far that are trained to be digital ambassadors for Rio Rancho Public Schools. I don't think they came. Oh, yes, she did. Okay. I have 2 special guests here. Kaya Griffiths from the community. She's a community impact director from the New Mexico Community Trust. And then Liana Schmader isn't here. Which one are you? She's online from the Housing Stability Project Manager from the New Mexico Community Trust. So thank you to them for coming. I have some important people that want to talk instead of me. That's why I talk so fast. But I have very important people. So first up from Sandia Vista Elementary School, I have Tiffany Hill, who's our ed tech at Sandia Vista, but she runs the Digital Defenders After School program, and she's got some important people to introduce.
Good evening. Our digital defenders would meet once a week for 8 weeks, and each week we focused on a different cyber safety topic. Our defenders came in every week ready to participate, reflect, lead their campus, and our culminating project was to create a short video message that was shared with parents at our Spring Family Barbecue. Defenders chose a cyber safety tip to share, and then they used Canva to create their own background graphics for our video. So I'd like to introduce Kaya and Aaron.
All right. We were able to make things in Canva to teach others how to not be a cyberbully, and read books about how to not be addicted to the technology. We also learned how to protect our digital footprint.
I liked how we learned what to do on devices and what to do if we click on something that doesn't look safe. We also learned how to protect ourselves from hackers.
Hello, my name is Melissa Eisenberg, and I'm the ed tech at MLK, and I'm also the advisor of our Digital Defender group there. We also met for 8 weeks where students got together to learn about how to defend themselves online. They participated in making a read aloud video for our school, and they also participated in our STEAM night where they talked to families about how to be digital defenders at home. And here I have Delilah and Riley up first, to talk a little bit more about what they learned.
Hi, my name is Riley. I'm a fifth grader in Miss Camacho's class at MLK. What we learned in Digital Defenders is you shouldn't be talking and meeting random people you don't know that try to talk to you online. We learned about not sharing personal and private information with people we don't know in person. I liked learning different tips about staying safe online. I was able to share the tips with my mom, and she agreed to stay safe online. I also told my brother to make sure he doesn't friend people he doesn't know on his game, and make sure he doesn't chat with random people. As a big sister, I want to make sure he is safe online. Thank you. Hi, my name is Yolala, and I'm a fourth grader at MLK. In Digital Defenders, I learned how to be safe on my electronics. To be safe, I will not give out my password without permission and not make friends with people I did not know. I liked it when we got to design our own video game that was about being kind and staying safe while playing online video games with others. I got to share what I learned with my family, and we talk about screen time and being safe online. I hope you guys learn to be safe on the internet.
That's awesome.
And every digital defender got a t-shirt from the grant. So they have little t-shirts. They also have capes and masks they can wear. And we bought 150 titles. So they have digital defenders books like Chicken Clickin' and Nerdy Birdie Tweets and How to Be Safe Online. And they read these books to the younger children younger, right? Okay. They read to the younger kids some of these books, and they brought some with you. But it's just a game, they're really cute books, so we bought those titles for them to read. So I appreciate them coming. Can I get a quick picture with them up here with you guys real quick? Okay. All right.
Yeah, you can.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. The important people.
Now you can all say that you presented at a board meeting. That's a big deal.
Good job. Hold on.
So cool.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming in. I'm super impressed. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. That's awesome. I have to say, I had to take a class for my work on this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, so it was amazing. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. All right. We will now go to approve the Dr. Clinton, did you want to say anything as they're going out? Yeah, I know they were like.
Program. And one of the concerns, of course, we all have is keeping our children safe when using technology. And so it's wonderful that they've learned those things and that they can share them with other students. And it's a really vibrant group of clubs. So we thank the sponsors and everyone who works with it. But it's really needed. We all know that's really needed. And it's just a neat program. So.
Yeah, thank you. I think they heard that we like to ask follow-up questions, so they were like, how fast can we get out of the workroom? All right, well, thank you. We'll now go to approve the consent agenda, if we have a motion for that.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Board Member Gary Tripp, I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by Jessica Tyler, second by Gary Tripp. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. So we'll now go to the business portion of our meeting. No, am I missing anything? Yes, business portion of our meeting. Sorry, making sure I'm in the right place. So we'll start with consider the approval of donations from St. Paul's United Church of Christ to Puesta del Sol, Rio Rancho Elementary, and Colinas del Norte. To present tonight will be Board Member Gary Tripp.
I'll start with Pastor Ann, and she can pronounce her last name, but and Barbara and McKinney. St. Paul United Church of Christ came to me as a blessing through a mutual friend and a constituent in the district. Actually lives in Corrales Heights, so probably has ties to Rio Rancho Elementary. But they reached out saying that they want to help children in the schools, and they have some money to give to help teachers with what they need, classroom materials or whatever the teachers need. And we always know that kids need resources. I called I emailed my friend back and stated that we have a lot of schools in need of resources and classroom materials. Just to name a few, Rio Rancho Elementary, Colinas, and Puesta del Sol. Well, I started talking to Pastor Ann after that context, and she came back from her board and basically said, you know what, Gary, we don't want to donate to one school. We like all three schools. So can we take the money and donate it to all three schools? And I said, well, you bet. And that would be great for each of them to share that. And they said, no, it's $1,000 for each of the three schools. So St. Paul United Church of Christ I've asked them to come tonight to present the checks and maybe say a little bit and thank them. One thing I do know that the churches of Rio Rancho have been wonderful. St. Paul United Church of Christ being a church in our community cares about the social well-being of our children, and they care about how our kids are learning, and they want to do whatever they can to help our teachers and our students. So I just want to, on behalf of the board and just thank you so much. And I think we have the schools here, but want to give you some time to speak and share your thoughts.
Thank you. First of all, let me just say for your minutes, I'm not the pastor of St. Paul's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm a retired minister who's a member of St. Paul's, but a lot of people make that mistake. So for your minutes, I'm a retired minister who's a member, and I sit on the church board. So, and Ms. Cleveland, I was saying my last name wrong for 6 months until my father-in-law told me how to say it right. So he told me, think of a cursing car, swear engine, and you'll never make a mistake again. So,
I will remember that.
But this year is St. Paul's 50th anniversary of its founding. And we're a small lay-led house church, and we wanted to say, well, we wanted to show that the reason that we stay open is because we want to support, people who are really doing good work in Rio Rancho. And so our board voted to give $1,000 to non-for-profits and charities doing good work in Rio Rancho in honor of our 50th anniversary. And one of our board members said, well, how about a school? And I said, will they let a church give them money? And so our mutual friend, who was a member of St. Paul's, he said, could you talk to your board, school board friend and see if they'll take money from us? And she said, sure. And then he emailed me and he said, well, here's 3 schools you can choose from. And I took it to the board and I said, why should we choose? We want to give them all. And so that's why we're here, because we really we want to share our love in a very concrete way with what you're doing for the children in this town. And so we hope that, yes, you'll take the money.
We will be glad. I think that's up to the board to vote, but we are so appreciative of, number one, you thinking of us and our children. And second, we are very appreciative of the faith-based community that over the 30 years of the school district has helped us in so many different ways. And so we thank you for coming tonight, and we thank you for thinking of our children. And we're just very glad that you are here.
Thank you. Barbara, did you want to add something?
Oh, yes, so
Mhm.
I am a volunteer of Friends of the Library and Literacy, and our bookstore is right up the hill on Ridgecrest, where Albertsons and Target is. We're in that overflow parking lot next to the mail print store and barbershop. I just wanted everyone to know that we became a Dolly Parton Imagination affiliate, so newborns up to the age of 5 get a free book a month. So the proceeds from our store pay for the books, but thank goodness for the Early Education Department of New Mexico. They are now picking up 80% of the books. And our goal was to enroll 1,800 little ones since last January, and we're up to 2,200 as of September. And I go around and I give bookmarks to children for free books. And if you want to take these to distribute, to the elementary schools, and the regular bookmarks, teachers will get a 10% discount.
That's awesome. Wow. Thank you.
And we're all volunteers.
That's wonderful. Thank you for coming out. I have to say, so St. Paul's, you guys are golf course Cabazon, is that correct?
Yeah, we worship with St. Francis Episcopal.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's where we are.
Okay.
That's
We
where
meet separately.
Yeah.
We would like to have a picture of you with the principals that are here from those schools,
sure.
if at all possible.
Yeah. How about we go for a motion and then we can go ahead and.
Well, Gary Tripp, board member, I'll make a motion that we approve the donation of St. Paul's United Church of Christ for Puesta del Sol Elementary, Rio Rancho Elementary, and Colinas del Norte Elementary in the form of $1,000 for each school.
Board member
Board
Tyler.
Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
All right, we're going to go with a motion from Gary Tripp and a second from Jessica Tyler. And then JC, if you could take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Woo! So we'd like to welcome the principals to come up. Is that what we're hoping? And we can go ahead and do a picture. Yeah. This is wonderful.
And so do we present them with the checks or do we give them to you?
If you give them to them, they can turn around and give them to the finance.
Okay.
So do we have, JC, do we have someone who can take a picture for us, or do we have?
Yeah, we're the same age.
Okay.
Okay, wait a minute. It Puesta del Sol,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Rio Rancho. And Colinas.
She's the racist.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you.
Get a picture.
If y'all come up here, and we'll get a photo.
Here, you guys want to come in?
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. And as long as we have someone from finance who can actually probably take those checks, okay? You want to come grab the, before we don't do that? Yeah, that would be great. I have to say, as they're just kind of closing up their, that St. Paul's has been in our community, like they said, for 50 years. And I can remember your signs where it used to be in a different location many years ago, and friends who attended there. And it's just, thank you for being so great to our community. We appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you for being the good salesperson you are.
It's good. All right, we'll go to our next item is to consider the approval of the bond preliminary official statement. So Eric Harrigan and Kaylee Weimer-Skirch is here to present from RBC Capital Markets. And I didn't see Eric, so that, okay. So
Not quite as tall as him. Yes, good evening, Madam President, Superintendent, members of the board. My name is Kaylee Weimer-Skirch, here on behalf of Eric Harrigan, who couldn't make it tonight. You know, in front of you tonight, we are just considering to go forward with the approval of the preliminary official statement for the 2024 GO bonds. I believe you should have a draft of the POS in your packets. I'll try to make this pretty quick. It's a pretty big document. I'll be jumping around a lot, so if you have any questions or want me to go over anything again, please just let me know. So to jump right into it, on our very first page here, we just have an official notice of the sale. All of this language is just standard for all of our preliminary official statements. On the next page, it concludes that notice, and then the following page is where we really start to get into the meat of the document. So first, you can see that it's dated October 1st of 2024, which is when this document will be posted online for investors to look at. Other important information on this page includes, for one, the authorization of the bonds, how the board approved it on August 26th. Additionally, too, these bonds are authorized by the November 7th, 2023 election. That's the authorization this issuance is taking from. The bonds are payable on each February 1st and August 1st, first commencing February 1st of 2025. And then the closing at the bottom of the page, it's called the delivery or dated date, will be October 30th, which is when funds will be available for the district. Additionally, on this page at the very end, you can see that the electronic bids will be opened at 9 a.m. on October 8th. This is just kind of the timeline to let investors know when they need to bid. On the next page, we just have the maturity schedule of this issuance, the 2025 maturity, and then the 2026 maturity also. On the next page, we just have each of the players of this transaction. Of course, it lists the district, it lists ourselves as municipal advisor, your bond counsel, dissemination agent, paying agent, etc. I'll jump past the table of contents, and then I'll spill out onto technically page 2. So for introduction, it just introduces the district as an issuer. After that, we jump down to the bonds, which just lays out some of the terms of the bonds. Within the section, you know, for when we talk about the security of the bonds, which of course are ad valorem taxes. We also list that BOKF will be the paying agent and registrar of these bonds. On page 4, we talk about the optional redemption and how there isn't one because of the very short nature of this issuance. I'm going to jump around again onto page 5, where we have the section called risk factors. This section goes over climate change, natural disasters, cybersecurity, and potential health emergencies. You know, this is just very standard language that we disclose in all of our preliminary official statements. On the next page, we have the sources and uses of funds, which of course at the moment are blank because we haven't sold the bonds yet. After that, we spend the next page talking about the enhancement program. And then starting on page 7, we start to look at the district's debt and financial obligations. You know, the next couple pages have multiple tables that are compiled by us as your municipal advisor, and also with the help of AccuDisclose, your dissemination agent. We try to make sure that these tables have the most up-to-date information, including your 2024 preliminary assessed values. You know, should your final assessed value come out before we sell the bonds, we'll definitely update this document to reflect that. Continuing on, page 9 lists the district's outstanding debt, and then below that, it shows that outstanding debt service requirements along with the 2024 bond issuance. After that, we just have the statement of direct and overlapping debt. Starting on page 11, we look more specifically at the district's tax base. So first starting with your analysis of assessed valuation, looking at the district's major taxpayers. After that, starting on page 12, we look at the district's tax rates. You know, that first table there, table 9, looks specifically at the district's tax rates. And then table 10 looks at the county-wide tax rates. After that, I'm going to jump a bit again and go to page 15, where we spill out into tax collections. You can see that we have the collections every year for the past 5 years, looking at the collection rates of Sandoval County. And then starting on page 16, we go more into in depth about the district. You know, for one, labeling each of the board members along with your terms. And then we also have brief bios of multiple people of the district too. You know, we also slightly brush on your enrollment trends in table 12. And then the next few pages go more in depthly on your financials, specifically your audited financials. So all the figures that you see on page 18, your local revenues, federal revenues, those come directly from your 2023 audit. After that, we brush briefly over the SEG payments, updated all the way up to the 23-24 school year. And then starting on page 20, we have your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in your fund balance. And then following that, we have the balance sheet. These are just kind of condensed snapshots of those financials. You know, when we post the preliminary official statement, we will attach your full audit to this document for investors to look at too. Jumping again, the next couple pages, again, a lot of standard language. A lot of information coming from your audit, including on page 24, where we start to talk about pension obligations and contributions and stuff like that. Jumping all the way out to page 26, we go over the tax matters. Us and also Module Sperling, your bond counsel, have reviewed and updated the section. You know, this section really just says that, you know, in the opinion of the lawyers, the bonds will be both federally and New Mexico income tax exempt. After that, on page 27, we have the continuing disclosure undertaking. Because this is a public sale, you know, the district is required to disclose it on Emma. You guys have a dissemination agent that does that for you guys and keeps you out of trouble. You know, this language just kind of talks about how you will be posting an annual report, which the district has already been doing, that just discloses a lot of material information to investors. That includes event notices, which are also listed on page 28. You know, after that, the next major section would actually be the rating section on page 30. You know, tomorrow we're scheduled to have the rating presentation with Moody's. You know, once we get that rating, we'll be able to update the document. We'll make sure to post the POS with the district's updated ratings too. That really does conclude the body of the preliminary official statement. You know, we do have some appendices in the back. The first one just being kind of standard economic and demographic information regarding the district, kind of looking at local businesses that are going on. You know, we also brush across population between the city of Rio Rancho, the state of New Mexico, and the metropolitan statistical area. You know, we look a little bit more in depth of the age groups of your population, along with buying income and median household income too. After that, the Appendix B is just going to be your audited financial statements. And then for Appendix C, the book entry only system, this just really defines that DTC is the one who registers the bonds. Also very standard language. We put it in all of our preliminary official statements. And then Appendix D is a form of continuing disclosure undertaking. As I mentioned, because this is a public sale, you know, the district will be required to post a CDU. You guys have done this, have been completely in compliance to the help of your dissemination agent. And then the last attachment is just the notice of sale. Oh, sorry, bond counsel opinion, which clarifies that the bonds are tax exempt. And then the last appendix item is the notice of sale, which the board has already approved. You know, that really does conclude the preliminary official statement. And I'm happy to go over any part of it again or stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you. That was a lot. It's always a lot to go through. So we appreciate you going through all that. Any questions from the board? Jessica, you have any questions? Any questions, Gary?
No, thank you. Very thorough.
Okay. Jeff, do you have any questions from the great
No
beyond?
questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Dr. Cleveland, do you want to add anything?
Just thank you for the really good materials that the board was able to look at before this meeting. And that helped a lot, I think.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. All right, we can go for a motion.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'll make a motion to approve the bond preliminary official statement.
Board Member Gary Tripp, second.
We have a motion by Jessica Tyler, second by Gary Tripp, and then JC, if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you coming out. All right. Our next item, we will consider the approval of the bond paying agent registrar agreement. And so David Mann will be presenting this.
All right, so before you is the paying agent agreement. President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. I just want to recognize Catherine McKinney from Module for her support in putting this together. She's really the one who's been putting this together. I've been trying to think how to make this exciting, but I got nothing. So just bear with me for a minute. So why do we need this? We're selling bonds. We need a bond paying agent to be an intermediary. So that's usually a bank. In this case, that bank is Bank of Oklahoma. So they will serve as our intermediary. What this means is the district would make semi-annual interest and principal payments to Bank of Oklahoma. Bank of Oklahoma would in turn make that security available to the depository trust company, who would then in turn make it available to the bond holders. So this intermediary, Bank of Oklahoma, they keep a list of the bond holders. They basically do all of the business end, keep track of the bond holders. When the securities change hands and new bond holders purchase them, they keep track of that. They make the aforementioned payments. They track any bonds that we've paid. They'll cancel them once they're paid off. They also will work with New Mexico. From what I've been reading, they work with New Mexico's credit enhancement program. So I think that's NMFA. And what that means is if we ever struggled, which in the unlikely event we struggled to pay those bonds, there would be assistance. So the bond agreement in and of itself is basically the same as 2023. It's almost verbatim. So there's no surprises. We pay $300 to start it up. We pay $300 annually for them to be the intermediary. It's not very expensive. And I ask you to vote in favor of this agreement. I stand for any questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. First off, I'm going through a master's class on this right now, and I'd appreciate if you could take my exam for me. I was like, this is all the stuff that I'm working on right now. Any questions from the board on this? Any questions from the board? Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything on this? Okay. Okay. So we just need a motion on this one.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'll make a motion to approve the bond paying agent registrar agreement.
Board Member Miller, I second the motion.
From a motion by Jessica Tyler, second by Beth Miller, and JC, if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We will have a presentation tomorrow to the committee that looks at the ratings. So tomorrow will be an important day for us, and we're all ready to go on that. And we'll let you know how that goes.
Thank you. Our next item is to consider the approval to receive 3 buses from Albuquerque Public Schools, and Nicholas Brook, our Executive Director of Transportation, will present.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. I'm here tonight to request approval to transfer 3 buses from APS. There are 3 wheelchair buses. As Dr. Cleveland spoke earlier, we're short buses always. We have a growing number of special needs students, and I reached out to APS to see if they had any extra buses and worked with the executive director there. And we found 3 buses. I got approval from PD, and now stand for any questions from you guys.
Okay, thanks. First, I saw you outside and I didn't register, so welcome to presenting to the board. So we're happy to have you. Do you have questions from the board? Jessica, any questions? No. Beth, then Gary, any questions or comments?
Thank you for working this through.
Yeah. And Jeff, do you have any questions on anything?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, I have a weird question. I was like, this is amazing that we could do this. Can we just start soliciting all districts around and start picking up buses? That's what I want. That's
You have to find them, the ones that are willing to. So
yeah.
that's the big thing.
There are.
Not a lot are willing to do that.
Yeah.
I think we could do that, and check. We know there are some districts that have extra buses. Of course, every district wants to have a few extra if possible. So when buses break down, they have obviously a way to get students to and from school. So, but we do appreciate your initiative on this, and we thank APS for moving these buses. Is this a permanent transfer? Okay, I assumed that it was. And these are, they're just desperately needed, and we are appreciative that we have gotten them. When our contractor left several years ago, they left Las Cruces and Rio Rancho School District. And we were without a contractor. That's exactly what we did, is we went around the state looking for buses, and the public ed department helped us with that. And that explains why we don't have enough buses now, because at that time they could only find so many. And we went down, I think, oh my goodness, 20 some buses then. And that's when it was kind of the beginning of being shorter than we had, before we had enough buses. Buses are expensive. They are hard to get. They take a long time now to build. And even if you had all the money, you wouldn't be able to go out and buy the buses tomorrow. It's a long process. But we can certainly look again to see if there are other districts that have any surplus buses. But I don't think there are too many. Albuquerque is obviously the largest district, so it was a better chance of finding them in probably Albuquerque than anywhere else. But again, thank you for your initiative on this.
Yeah. One more question along those lines. Would it have to be a New Mexico school, or could it be, we were in Colorado and they were talking about how they closed, 16 schools in the last few years. Could it be other schools, or would it have to be
It has to be within the state of New Mexico.
Yeah, it has to meet the state standards.
Okay.
Buses for the state.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Technically, the state owns the buses.
Okay. Which makes sense. So, okay. Thank you. So we can go to motion on this.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and receive 3 buses from Albuquerque Public Schools.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay. A motion by Jessica Tyler and a second by Jeff Morgan. And JC, if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, let me clarify what I said. If we had money, we could buy them from out-of-state entities. And we have also done that in the past. So we're not restricted from buying buses across state lines, but technically they belong to the state of New Mexico, which is why the public ed department was able to approve the transfer.
Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you. All right. Our next item is to consider the approval of the 24-25 preventive maintenance plan. So Patrick Martinez, our Executive Director of Facilities, will present.
Thank you, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. This will also be a very exciting presentation to go over our preventative maintenance plan. So yes, I'm here to present our 24-25 preventative maintenance plan. And our maintenance plan we do annually. We really do it, it kind of states in here that we do it once a year, we revisit it, but really it's a living document to us. We revisit it throughout the year if things are working, if we find out or we determine that maybe there's some better goals to look at for the next year. That's kind of how we look at it, as a living document. And it's broken up into a few different sections. Our introduction, which really talks about our district mission, and then goes into our purpose, which goes over our objectives, the plan review, maintenance performance goals, and then our previously accomplished maintenance goals. We look at our facilities department, organizational and staff responsibilities, what our maintenance procedures look like, and then there's several appendices that I will go over quickly. So I'll go through this pretty quick. It's very similar to what you have seen, but again, starting with our introduction, we are required by the state and by PSFA to have a preventative maintenance plan that looks at how we do a lot of our maintenance on our school buildings and our school sites, which also includes custodial. Our plan closely ties to our not only our mission, but our our strategic plan, sorry, for safety and wellness section of the strategic plan. And the purpose of this preventative maintenance plan really is to look at more of a proactive approach versus a reactive approach. We try to stay ahead of the curve, specifically with some of the issues that we might be seeing with aging buildings, as well as staffing issues. And then our objectives are we try to stay true to them, which is extend the life of our systems, as we see that a lot of our schools are aging. And so what are we able to do currently to extend the life? And then really this helps us determine what requires replacement. As you've seen, there's been a lot of HVAC replacements over the years, and that has come directly from this, is really documenting and seeing what the lifespan of some of these major systems are. Roofs is another big one that we look at. And then also the availability and the effective use of our manpower. Again, being short-staffed, we have to really look at how we allocate our staff to handle work orders and some of the ongoing maintenance. And then looking at ways that we can reduce some of the maintenance that's required through different types of systems, looking at different types of systems. And then we also maintain an inventory list of all of our equipment. And then we're always assessing our buildings. We have several ways that we assess our buildings. And then we look at our preventative maintenance plan. We look at it annually. We talk to our staff. We look at maybe what's worked, what hasn't worked. And I'm here to say that a lot of what we do works well. There's always little tweaks that we can do. And I'll get to some of those small tweaks later on in the presentation. But we've kept it, for the most part, fairly simple in how we do it. And then our performance goals, we look at every year, we look at different goals and trying to help with our maintenance. So over the past few years, we've looked at obviously HVAC upgrades, and then what can we do to make our HVAC so much better, which, it's always an ongoing issue, but it's something that we're constantly looking at. And that was one of our performance goals last year. And then this year, what we're looking at is lighting and phasing in lighting controls. And what we found, especially now that we have an energy manager on board, is being able to really look at how we're using our facilities, specifically from the lighting standpoint, not just interior but exterior. Can we turn certain things off and on, specifically with facility use, being able to turn parts of the building off, turn parts of them on, making sure the parking lot's on, and we can do that remotely. So it really, again, utilizing our staff properly, so no one's having to go out to these schools to turn things on and turn them off. Another goal that we have for the upcoming year is an electrical audit. And we found, again, with some of our aging schools, that the electrical services need to be looked at. We've had several issues at some of our schools that have caused some power outages, some of them on our side, some of them on the PNM side. But what it does is it really highlights some of the areas that we need to audit and make sure that we're looking at and see if there's anything we can do to prevent those types of outages. And then we've worked closely with our IT department, and we've worked with them in the past, and we continue to do that to look at our IDF rooms, getting those on controls, because those generate a lot of heat. Sometimes they're in conjunction with our electrical rooms, so they produce a lot of heat. So being able to slowly implement cooling into those spaces which didn't have them before. And then obviously we do the evaluation every year. And then some of our previous accomplished goals is, again, looking at HVAC. We do have several satellite campuses that are in portables. And so being able to upgrade some of those, because they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And a lot of them had swamp coolers. So we've been upgrading those to refrigerated air just so that they're more comfortable spaces, again, with the intent that they're not going anywhere anytime soon, so they can be comfortable in those spaces. We're constantly looking at carpet throughout the classrooms. We do classrooms every summer, both paint and carpet. And then we did do 2 larger LED upgrades, MLK and Rio Rancho Elementary, both which had previous projects. Under the HVAC project, we were able to do some LED upgrades. So basically, we were just completing those schools. That way, the entire school had the LED upgrade, again, really helping with our energy management and energy consumption. And then next, we get into our organizational chart. And you can see that we have an energy manager, we have project managers, some of our specialists, but then really the department's broken up into 3 sections, which is our maintenance, building maintenance, warehouse and grounds, and then our custodial. And they kind of operate in conjunction, but you can see that they all have their challenges with their set of with their different staff. Moving on to some of the responsibilities. Again, a lot of this is stuff we've seen in the past, but I would like to highlight a few new positions that we've added. One of them being our maintenance coordinator. And the idea behind our maintenance coordinator was to assist our maintenance manager with some of that day-to-day allocation of work orders, looking at how we push work orders out, prioritize work orders, working directly with the staff. Sometimes our maintenance manager has to meet with contractors, for specific issues that we're not able to handle ourselves. And so just being able to really give that time and effort to looking at how we maintain the buildings and how we work with our staff so they're not overloaded, reallocating work orders to maybe staff members who don't have as many work orders. So that was one of the new changes this year. And in addition to that, we also did a restructuring of our grounds department. And it was a slight restructure. What we've done is basically added a grounds foreman position, which oversees a group of grounds employees. Previously, we had grounds employees designated to each of the schools, and what we found is that what really wasn't efficient because they may need help and having to bounce people back and forth. So we've moved more to like a crew sort of model where we have a foreman who this foreman is required to have a journeyman license so they can work on sprinkler systems, some of the heavier lift, but they're able to go from school to school and they have a list of schools that they go to and kind of knock that school out, get onto the next school and knock that school out and provide support as needed. So that was one of the big changes. And what it did too is we provided some incentive. Grounds is one of the areas where we have the lowest amount of staff and the most vacancies. So it provides some incentive to maybe move up to get some credentialing, some licensing. That way it kind of just helps with staff retention because that's one of the hardest things that we've seen in that area. The next section is the maintenance procedures. As you know, we have a work order system, which is called School Dude or Maintenance Direct. We continue to utilize that system to filter all of our work orders from schools and staff. This also tracks our acquisitions of supplies. So when there's parts needed for a specific work order, or if there's supplies needed specifically on the custodial side, all they have to do is put in a work order and we're able to track all that, which also tracks our expenditures in a lot of those areas. We're able to do that by school as well. So, as we look at budgeting for, upcoming years, we can see which schools, we might be allocating more, they may need more parts, if it's HVAC related, if it's electrical related, that kind of gives us some insight to, maybe it's time to look at upgrading something up. We're constantly having to fix this one system. So maybe we look at an overall upgrade, and that's where we get into some of our bond planning or the larger funding. And then we also work on what we do. We have a priority system with our work order system. So obviously emergency is anything that needs to happen immediately, urgent, and then routine. And then we have preventative maintenance. And a lot of our preventative maintenance happens over the summer. We have a pretty detailed process on putting together a preventative maintenance work order, which goes out to all of our staff on an annual basis so that they can track what they do and what are the things that they need to work on over the summer to make sure that we're not running into issues, once students and staff are in the buildings. And that's where we get to our appendices. Pretty basic. We have a list of our assets, which equates to about 2.7 million square feet of building, which is quite a bit to maintain. And then we get into our custodial responsibilities, and I won't go into that too much detail, but it goes through how our custodians function throughout the day, annually, weekly, and then our grounds as well as our maintenance. And then Appendix E it kind of shows our preventative maintenance example of our preventative maintenance. So this is what our maintenance guys would see to look at how they do the preventative maintenance. And the way they can log it and that way we see to make more informed decisions. And then we have a workflow to show how that process is set up in our work order system. And then the last appendix is something new that we've been trying to do to really start working on our efficiency and how we look at work orders is, we've tasked our maintenance manager with putting together a report, and this is done monthly so that we can see where every staff member, where their work orders are at, how we can reallocate some of those work orders to maybe staff that don't have as many. A lot of our general maintenance guys have a ton of capability to help with plumbing and HVAC to a level that doesn't require a license. So we're able to kind of pick up on those areas and then help our staff out. And you can see the pie chart just shows, what our new work orders are, what are on hold, what are waiting information, which ones are waiting parts. And then we kind of have a benchmark that shows us, how many are over 30 days, how many over 60 days, and how many over 90 days. And it kind of gives us that quick look at, okay, why do we have so many over 90 days? What's going on? Is it a parts issue? Is it, maybe there's not enough information being entered? And it really just gives us a quick snapshot of the efficiency of our work order system and what our maintenance staff are working on. So that's one new addition that's really helped out this year to see how we handle a lot of, we get a slew of work orders specifically at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. And, sometimes it's a lot for our guys to handle. And so we're just trying to look at new ways to maybe take that level of work orders off of one specific person and distribute that. I went through that pretty quick, so I stand for questions.
That's good. That's good. I thought it'd be more exciting, but I'm just kidding. It was good. It was good. It was great. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything?
Well, I just say a couple of quick things. As you can see, it's a really comprehensive plan and report. And I just want to say, we appreciate Patrick's leadership. We've seen a lot of really practical gains these last few years, and really good organization, things, processes and procedures refined. And so I just want to let you know how much we appreciate the work of you, but your whole team. So everybody pulled together, and we have a large district, and we have a lot of things that need to be maintained. We have a lot of work to do that we don't have the funds to do with, but we continue to work to a variety of different funding sources to try to do as many of the things as we possibly can based on that order that you showed. And sometimes it seems like we have an awful lot of the urgents and emergencies, but that's just the way I think it is in most organizations. But anyway, I just wanted to convey our appreciation for the work that you and your team do.
And I want to add thank you to that too. I can remember meeting you first over at Joe Harris, and it's been good having you in this position, and you do have a great team that is with you. So thank you to all of them and to you as well. Any other comments or questions from the board? Go ahead, Gary.
I just have a couple of questions, and I didn't know if this is the right time, but talking about preventive maintenance, are we doing great with custodian openings? Do we have a large number there, or are we doing okay?
Actually, we are fully staffed on the custodial side. Unfortunately, our bigger struggle has to do with absenteeism, and it's really having people absent, and that's one of the bigger struggles we have. Thankfully, our custodial director and custodial managers, they do a great job of hiring and outreach and really getting people here. Unfortunately, we do run into some issues where we just have a lot of call outs.
So just a food for thought is maybe you could get with Mike, and at the finance committee meetings, we could maybe look at some strategies about that attendance issue. And we did that with the incentive plan a couple of years ago. And maybe there's a way to get them to, make sure they're there, look at salaries, things of that nature. My other question was, do we do RFPs for subcontracts for grounds? Because I know this with 10 grounds people.
We do.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of response from those.
We don't.
A lot of the companies, specifically on the ground side, it's just not big enough. I know it seems like and to us it's big, but a lot of these companies are extremely busy, and they're running into a lot of the same issues that we have, which is staffing. So they may want to help us out, but they don't have the staff to do it. So we run into that, but we do have a few on call. We definitely supplement as much as we can in that regard.
Great. My last question is, do we have any emergencies when it comes to kids being warm enough or being cool enough? And so it has to do with the HVAC and the heating. Is there any emergency issues going on in the district right now at the building levels?
Not currently. We did have, as you know, a few of the schools at the beginning of the school year that had some issues, and that was mainly on a control side, and that's something we've been working through. We've been trying to standardize our HVAC controls to kind of just give us one system that we can control. Our lighting will also be tied into that so that at any given time we can control. But there's been some hiccups with that and some heartache. A lot of it's technology, so you're always going to have something not showing up, something going down. But we've been working very diligently on that and trying to get that standardized throughout the district. And as we've had HVAC projects, that's what we do. We switch to a specific controls. That way we can standardize and everyone knows what they're looking at, and anyone can assist with that. We do have on-call people 24/7, and the more we can standardize, the easier it is for them to handle situations that may come up after hours.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Jessica, Beth?
No questions. Just thank you. That was very informative. I appreciated that. It wasn't maybe the best, most exciting reading, but it was information that I needed to know, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Get a video maybe.
Right.
Or maintenance guys or something.
Jeff, did you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you. Thanks for all the work.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm ready for a motion on this item.
Board Member Tyler, I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 preventative maintenance plan.
Board Member Gary Tripp, a second.
Okay. Got a motion by Jessica Tyler, second by Gary Tripp, and then JC, if you'll take a roll call vote.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, we appreciate it. Okay, and then our last item of business is to consider the approval of RFP number 2024-025 RADA Assessment Management and Data Warehouse System. And we have Michael Madrid, our Director of Purchasing and Chief Procurement Officer, who will present.
Board President Galbraith, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. Before I get started with the presentation, I want to ask that you make one small edit. Under the requested action after warehouse system, can we add 2 Renaissance Learning Incorporated? That's the vendor that we're going to recommend award. Dr. Cleveland did an excellent job in providing an overview of the content of the scope of work that we'll be discussing, and I'm just going to reiterate some of the highlights that she's already mentioned. This system will provide a tool for both online and paper-based testing, automatically scores selected response items, and provides a number of reports to inform teachers how students are performing on items and standards. The data warehouse combines a variety of information, including from third-party assessments like the State Accountability Assessments, NWEA, which stands for Northwest Evaluation Association, and iStation, to allow staff members to combine or disaggregate information to answer instructional and effective questions. As part of the background, we received a total of 7 responses to the procurement. Responses were received from Eduphoria Incorporated, Focal Point K-12 Incorporated, Liminex Incorporated, doing business as Go Guardian and Pearl Deck Learning, Nucella, Otis LLC, Power School Group LLC, and Renaissance. As part of the procurement process, the first thing that we have to do is ensure responsiveness to the procurement. So we took all the proposals, evaluated, and assessed that they provide the affidavits and all the documentation that was required as part of the solicitation. All 7 were determined to be responsive, and they were forwarded to the evaluation team for their initial scoring. The team scored, we ranked the scores, we shortlisted those scores, and invited the top 4 responses to participate in interviews, product demos, and then we also asked that they provide us a sandbox access so we could navigate their systems and verify the functionality of the programs that they were proposing. That process was also scored, and those scores were added to the initial scores. Attached to the board memo is the scoring matrix. I want to add a couple things. Renaissance Learning Incorporated is the current software program that's being utilized by the district, and they were also the lowest responsive price. I'd also like to engage Happy Miller to come up and give additional content, and then the 2 of us will stand for questions. Dr. Miller?
We have been using a product from a company called Illuminate, and Renaissance purchased Illuminate. So
We have been utilizing this product or this service, and it's very helpful to teachers to be able to manage assessments and to provide data quickly to them, and also combine a variety of data that's used by a variety of stakeholders around the district. So we are continuing, we were at the end of our procurement cycle and we wanted to review. The education technology market changes very quickly, so we wanted to review what other options were out there. And while there's pros and cons to every respondent, the committee ended up deciding to go with Renaissance, which is now the owner of the product that we've been using.
Questions? We're ready?
Yes, thank you.
All right, Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything?
I think they did a really good job. You know, there's often the saying about you're data rich and information poor. And this helps make that information easier to access and to use, and so that staff are more likely to use it more often. So it was excited about this new RFP.
All right, Gary, you have any questions or comments? Rest of the board, any other questions?
No, thank you.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'd like to make a motion to approve the award for RFP number 2024-025, RADA Assessment Management and Data Warehouse to Renaissance Learning Incorporated.
Board Member Miller, I'll second the motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Jessica Tyler, a second by Beth Miller, and if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. And we're now to advanced planning. So this bond rating call, that's for the district. We don't have to be on that, correct? The one that is tomorrow. Okay. And then September 23rd, there'll be an audit committee meeting, and then there will be a board meeting following. October 9th, Professional Development Day. Also on the 9th is the NMSBA region meeting. JC, can you actually sign me up for that? And I don't know if anyone else is planning to go. Are you planning to be out there too? Okay. You're going to go as well? Okay. It's so out there, but we're going to make it out there. Okay. So have you gotten Beth and Gary signed up already? Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And then we have fall break, and then a meeting on October 14th, audit committee on the 28th, another meeting also on the 28th. Any questions on anything upcoming? Go ahead.
If it's okay, I just want to thank Representative Kathleen Cates. I see her out there, and I want to thank our legislature and her for all the great work that they help the kids with. Thank you.
Thank you.
If that's okay.
No, that was great. I've been watching from here, so thank you and welcome to being in our meeting tonight. So with that, unless there's any questions on the calendar, then we'll go ahead and adjourn for tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Here is the